What's up, creeps, and welcome to a special Epic Film Guys bonus review episode. I'm your host, Justin, and I'm once again joined by none other than... You can introduce yourself. I'm not going to do it for you anymore.
Well, as the sound bite goes, LoySauce.
LoySauce has returned, and I believe this is your first episode that you've joined me, or joined us on, rather, of the year, 2026 so far. Last one.
What a time to be alive.
Well, and as this movie we're about to review will state so clearly, yes, the world that we're in right now in the current political and social climate, we're going to be talking about Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, the newest from director Gore Verbinski, who I haven't seen a new movie from in quite some time.
A decade?
I'm trying to think of the last movie that I saw in theaters that he made. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's true. A Cure for Wellness, which was 2016. That is absolutely insane, dude. That it's been 10 years.
I just rewatched for its 10th anniversary. Showed a friend of mine who hadn't seen it, and yeah,
How
it's
was it?
Flawed but interesting. Messy but beautiful. Like, say what you want about Gore Verbinski. I mean, I feel like he is kind of part of that last bastion of filmmakers who sees the innate value of style and spectacle, and even if the script isn't up to snuff, the movies are just a kind of a marvel to behold. I mean, he's had some real successes over the years. I love Mouse Hunt, The Ring, Rango. I mean, even the Pirates of the Caribbean series, for all their flaws, even The Lone Ranger.
I was going to say, I was waiting for you to compliment The Lone Ranger. I just knew you'd have to do it.
The movie's a shambles, but it looks and sounds as if it's directed by an auteur, because it is. Yeah. So I'm a fan of that Gore Verbinski. I was excited to see what he had cooked up this time. And it's similarly hodgepodge in terms of its script, which we'll talk about. But I really do think it's an impressive film for as kind of mid-budget as it is at $23 million. It looks great, sounds great, it moves, and it has plenty of charm.
Absolutely. And Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. That title, by the way, it took me like a week to memorize without having to look at it for some reason, but they say it in the movie.
Maybe that's why it's not
doing well,
catching on.
Well, I mean, it only opened in how many screens? I mean, apparently it hit some record for the best business of movie that only was released on so many screens.
1,000 screens.
Something like
that. Why such a limited rollout? I mean, I guess it's down to the fact that Briarcliff Entertainment is not a major studio. Like, they're not a major distributor, so I don't think they've ever had a box office hit. The fact that they released it on Valentine's Day, maybe they thought it would be counter-programming, but I just think that might have been a mistake of a release date. So, yeah, I think, unfortunately, we're looking at a big old flopperoonie.
Yeah, it's only made like 4-something million. And, of course, we'll get into the reason why a company such as Briarcliff released it rather than a larger studio. But for those uninitiated, number one, this is going to be full spoiler. So if you are interested in seeing the movie prior to listening to this review, you want to stop right now. Or if you don't give a shit and you're like, I'm all in on this no matter what, feel free to keep on going. But the movie is a man from the future arriving at a diner in Los Angeles where he must recruit the precise combination of disgruntled patrons to join him on a one-night quest to save the world from the terminal threat of a rogue AI. Yeah, that sounds like the kind of movie I want to watch, because hashtag fuck AI up the fucking ass in every single sense of the term or expression. I fucking hate it.
It's a long hashtag.
Well, yes, of course it is. I literally cannot stand, I'm an avid, I just can't stand anything, these stupid caricatures I'm seeing all over Facebook and Twitter. I'm actively shitting on everything AI that I see, to the point where I'm getting blocked left and right. But it looks stupid. It's killing the environment. It's not cool at all whatsoever. And it's stealing. It's absolutely it's theft, man. You're stealing from other people. And this movie deals with a lot of those things. Absolutely. The movie is topical and it hits a nerve, most definitely. But overall, it's definitely funny too. The movie's got some really dark comedy. There's satire, and of course, when you have Sam Rockwell at the center of your movie, like going insane and an amazing performance, it's really hard not to watch. I mean, he's definitely magnetic in this thing. And I have to
I
also
can't claim credit for it, but
yeah,
someone somewhere said that he had Michael Keaton Beetlejuice energy throughout the movie, and he definitely
he
taps into that kind of
he sure
mania
did.
and
If you look at the
commands the
poster,
screen. Yeah.
the main posters, LoySauce, are all hand drawn or hand painted. They're beautiful to look at, and they're very artistic looking. And you see him with this really wacky outfit, and he's got this scraggly beard. You've never really seen him like this before. He looks kind of like if the Hopester were still around and he was in the future. That's kind of how I imagined him, right?
There's that
For
line
those
in the
old
movie
school
where someone
bands.
says, someone in the diner says, like, "You look homeless." He's like, "Fuck you. You should see our homeless. They look dead."
It was a great line. So jumping right in, I mean, let's just do initial thoughts right from the get go. Because, I mean, I'd seen the trailer once, I'd seen the poster. Unfortunately, I did not get a chance to see this in theaters. They sent me a screener to see it a week before it came out. I tweeted about it. It got like no traction, but luckily Briarcliff and the official page and everything shared it. So it was cool. I wanted to spread the word on this thing because unlike a lot of other movies being released in theaters right now, one thing about this is it is absolutely original. But so you saw it in the theater. Was it like a packed house? What was it like?
Yeah, I was happy to support it in theaters. We went to a Thursday night 7 p.m. show, and we were the only ones in the theater for about the first maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Oh,
Might have even been longer before one other person wandered into the theater. So who knows if they had a ticket?
okay.
But it was just us and one other person
Killing some time. I've
watching this
seen
film
that
on a Thursday.
Yeah. Have you seen
evening.
it? You saw it at Apple Blossom?
Yeah.
Okay. So no one that listens to the show is from Winchester, but I've seen people, it's connected to a mall, and I've seen people literally go into a theater. Either they bought a ticket or they just snuck in, and they're sitting there on their phone, like killing time before they're getting a ride or something, and then just leave halfway through the movie, like never watching the movie at all. So I'm not surprised that you saw that.
It's not like ushers exist anymore who are
No.
like going into the theaters and checking to see, how many people, et cetera, et cetera. And it is what it is. But I kind of hoped like, well, maybe Friday and Saturday evening would have better luck. But I don't think so, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a shame because it's a fun movie. It feels like the kind of movie that would kind of it's like a more lighthearted Terminator. You know what I mean? Like it's not quite like summer blockbuster kind of level of magnitude, but that's kind of where it belongs. That kind of crowd pleasing, kind of like speculative sci-fi, lighthearted, but not. It still deals with like a dark threat, and then in between, the way it's structured, it kind of has like little mini Black Mirror episodes kind of sprinkled throughout, the way that it kind of has that almost, if you watch Weapons from last year, it has that kind of structure where you're following this kind of ragtag team, and then it flashes back to each of their individual backstories and these little vignettes that each have a different kind of flavor of social satire. And so there's lots of variety to the movie. There is humor, there's some action, and fun sci-fi concepts. So it seems like a movie that a packed theater should enjoy. And that's how I felt similarly about Send Help, which came out this year. Like it was me and like maybe a handful of other people in the audience, and it felt like that's the kind of movie that like you want to hear reactions, you want to laugh with other people. Like that's what it should all be about. But that's just, we're in an age now where we're dealing with so many different demands for our attention, and entertainment is spread so thin across so many different platforms. And so yeah, it is a shame. But if this movie were made like, I don't know, maybe in the 90s or early 2000s, you would have seen a packed theater, but times have changed so much,
Yeah, it's a shame to think that this movie technically from a lot of people's perspectives is like, oh, I'll just wait for that on streaming. And I understand that. I mean, there's this conversation we continuously have on the show, where you think about how much it costs to go to the movies. Now we go a lot. Sometimes I get for free, which I'm open about. But other times I pay. I try to pay and support the movies. But when you go, even myself and my wife will go, we'll want a popcorn, diet soda, whatever it was, maybe a beer, depending on where I'm going, if they have it or not. And then at the end of the day, it's like 50, $60. Matinees are much cheaper though. I realized that last week when I saw Whistle, I was like, oh, actually I can go to a matinee for $30, get a popcorn, I'm good. But it is this thing that you have to continuously think about. Like, do I want to go see any of these movies or do I want to just wait? But the movie does play properly for the big screen. It has, as you said, science fiction. It has almost crime thriller elements in it too. It has action. There's a scene in the movie that reminded me of like Shaun of the Dead, some Night of the Living Dead action going on there. So it's a hybrid of all genres, and the comedy is just perfectly written. I thought it was very witty in terms of dialogue, and the whole opening of this thing, which sets the stage for everything.
It's a monologue, basically.
It is a
Sam Rockwell monologue,
dude. In the way that I'm not positive because I haven't really looked into it, with Verbinski or any interviews. I haven't seen much press for the movie. I don't think they really did any junkets or anything, not large scale at least. It looked like a one shot to me, or a lot of it looked like an extended shot when he arrives at the diner and he's making his speech. It's like 10:10 p.m. at night, and he's announcing he's there to save the world and needs volunteers to join him. And then, he goes around to these different patrons who all think he's homeless or insane, call the cops. And this is his 117th attempt to convince a group of people, a different combination, to help him on this adventure for the night. And apparently all the other attempts at this adventure, or journey, I should say, have failed. So it's really funny. And as you said earlier on, that he has that Beetlejuice energy. He's all over the place. He's manic. His mannerisms and his movements are all over. Like he's acting insane, but what's coming out of his mouth and his mind is precise. It's on point. He's not spouting off gibberish. He's like really defined in all of the dialogue and all of the things he's explaining to these people.
Well, it's a fine line because you have to act like this is the 117th time you're giving this exact speech,
Sure.
But you also have to be completely unpredictable, and again, kind of erratic, and capture that, like, kind of that glibness, that kind of like frustration that no one's taking him seriously. The kind of the nicknames that he gives people, like he calls the one guy phony soprano, and like he just has that kind of like, are we all adequately scared now? Good, get comfortable. Like he has that kind of like that energy to him that's just enthralling to watch. And also the way the scene is framed too. And I give Verbinski credit for this. As I said off the top, he kind of elevates the movie through his direction. I imagine the same movie shot by maybe or filmed by maybe a lesser filmmaker, and it's just kind of like flat angles, and like I can imagine the same script just with not nearly the amount of energy. For example, there's a part where like you can see, it's when he gets up close to that one woman and you can see him in focus through her glasses. So we're seeing her from behind. And Sam Rockwell's character is blurred, but we can see him in focus through her glasses. Who lenses a shot that way? Like, who has that kind of creative visual eye? I don't know. Very few people in Hollywood these days, and that's why I give him a lot of props for kind of injecting a shot of adrenaline into the script. I do think as it goes on, it kind of loses a little bit of that manic energy.
A little bit, yeah.
But the first like half, I mean, the scene in the diner is really kind of enthralling and invigorating to watch, especially because, I mean, again, like the way he's going about it, the way he's like walking on people's tables and knocking over their food and grabbing people's phones and throwing them into the fryer oil. It's like all of this stuff that is completely insane. But what he's saying, I mean, I agree with fundamentally this kind of idea of like, our capacity for critical thinking's being eroded, and there's a little bit of like boomer energy to it. There's a little bit of like old man yells at cloud energy to like, where have all the bookstores and record stores gone? And I I understand that uh, there might be a little bit of I don't know, because I lament, the disappearing of actual stores that you can go into and look at the merchandise, and we don't see much of that anymore, and that's because like people have been kind of conditioned to order things through Amazon or whatever, and so yeah, he has a line that I think is really really kind of on the money, and which is progress is only progress if it makes things better.
Yeah, that's a great line. Again, I think the script by Matthew Robinson, while not perfect, absolutely there are some ups and downs in this thing. I think the base of it and the theming and all of that, and for the most part, the dialogue I thought was all masterfully put together. I mean, you had mentioned it to me pre-show. We'll get to the third act. Kind of takes a little bit of a dive depending on how you view it. I mean, it's hard to keep up that kinetic energy that you mentioned throughout the whole movie, especially when it has these offshoots where we're getting to know these characters that we're introduced to at the diner. They're all there separately doing their own thing, and he knows all of them from every previous situation. And there's some connections he has to these characters that are more meaningful that we don't learn about until much later in the movie, which made me a little bit emotional as well. So I loved the opening, and then of course it shoots back to the characters of Mark and Janet, who are teachers, and it's Zazie Beetz and Michael Pena.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in a movie in a while, and I was like, oh, cool! I didn't even know he was in this movie. And they're teachers with students who are obsessed with their phones. Hello, that's like probably what every teacher in the world deals with. Now, granted, I'm pretty sure, LoySauce, that phones are probably banned in classroom, or they should be in your backpack or something.
I don't think so. I mean, I know certain true? States have laws, but not nearly enough states. That's for sure.
It's funny because these teachers, they're in the break room, the teachers lounge, and you could tell they're all scared of the students. Like no one wants to challenge any of them. When Mark goes into his classroom to try to teach, I think it's English or something, or correct me if I'm wrong, he doesn't get a single reaction at all, and he immediately gives up. But when they go back in for class after their break, I think it's their lunch, Mark touches one of the students' phones, and then all of the students immediately react in unison as a threat towards him, just because when he touched the phone, they all kind of went into this diamond mode, and like they turned into like fucking zombies.
Yeah, it's very heightened. It's very all the students are on their phones. They're locked onto the screens, hypnotized, and then their focus shifts when their immersion to their phone is broken, and they do become like classic Romero, like George Romero zombies.
They do.
That scene, I mean, again, I was kind of settling into the world of the movie because the tone is very wacky and the movie is overstuffed with a lot of ideas, things you're just going to have to accept. Like Mark and Janet's colleague has created these ray guns that can temporarily brick people's phones somehow. It's never explained how this technology exists, but then like also later on, I loved this detail. This is like a nice little world building detail. There's like a cloning facility, and they're at the people at the cloning facility are asked like, oh, so they're robots? It's like, oh no, we don't have the technology for robots to replicate human beings yet. They're clones. And it's like, oh, so the technology exists to like outright clone people, but AI isn't quite to the level of where you'd have a convincing, human replicant robot. So like, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like the logic isn't quite sound from scene to scene, but you can get what they're going for. Again, like little vignettes where it kind of tackles a different social issue. Because I mean, I have friends who are teachers. You see the studies and you see articles where they're interviewing teachers about how reading comprehension has just plummeted, and
now kids are using. These teachers have to be on the ball because kids are using AI to write their essays.
Precisely,
But the moment that I refer to when Mark touches one of the students' phones, it's a great build up to that because he's just walking around and it's completely silent. Like a pin could drop and you would hear it. And you see these kids and they're doom scrolling. And it really resonated with me. And it connected with me on a deeper level where I'm like, I do that. I'm not on TikTok. I mean, we have one, but I don't really put Epic Film Guy stuff on there very often because I find it to be a cesspool. But in reality, they're all kind of the same thing. And we all, those of us that partake in social media, are usually typically guilty of doom scrolling. You yourself, not to go personal, but you've tried to transition off of that recently yourself. It's like,
Yeah, I have not left social media, but I've definitely taken a decisive measure to try to. I mean, I still have my smartphone, but I don't take it with me when I go out anymore. I have, a slightly dumber phone from a more trusted company. I'll put it, and just because I just felt so kind of beaten down after being bombarded with ads and posts from uh, people I don't follow showing up in my feed, and just like the endless distraction.
yeah,
It is insidious. We obviously, like you touched on it, but I think AI is like genuinely destroying the human experience. It's kind of holding us all captive, and it's everything we were ever warned about, from Isaac Asimov to Philip K. Dick to Arthur C. Clarke. I mean, there's
or
so
James
many.
fucking Cameron.
uh, Wally, there's so many different things you can point to about, like, warning us about the dangers of kind of, for lack of a better term, like, or better phrase, letting the robots take over, and so I've kind of taken uh, steps to kind of protect my own mental health, my own privacy.
Sure.
And it's just not fun anymore. Social media used to be a place where you connect with your friends, and I just feel more isolated from everyone than ever before. And I think the movie is cognizant of that.
Well, there's this whole thing now where people don't meet. People don't meet in relationships. The percentage of people that meet in real life, or that a male will talk to a female, or vice versa, or any whatever you want to, it doesn't happen anymore. It all happens online. Like, it just almost never happens organically anymore. Where you'll meet someone out at a place and you'll connect with them, and like at random. I mean, not like set up online. And this movie touches on that as well. I mean, these kids aren't even interacting with one another. They're just scrolling, and then this whole thing happens. And then, of course, we get to Susan, that character, which I have not seen Juno Temple in a movie in a long time, and she is absolutely wonderful in this movie. Some of the deepest emotional moments that I connected with are from her, because she lost her son in a school shooting. And we learn throughout this experience that school shootings happen every day in this society, which is not far removed from our society now. And I remember
Sometimes the shootings happen to the same
students
over and over again, which, again, we've seen reports of that. Or kids who have survived a school shooting in elementary school or whatever will grow up and experience another one in high school or what have you. So,
Yeah.
like, that's horrifying. It should not happen in any kind of civilized society, but there you go. I mean, we have a lot of work we need to do
Yeah.
to protect our kids, for sure.
But I mean, I'm thinking back to, as an example, because, I'm in my 40s, and I remember when Columbine happened and how impactful it was to our society. And I mean, I was one of those weird kids that dressed different. And I remember I was like singled out at the school, all because of that situation. And now, in the society we're in now, it's just accepted that this is part of our society, and
Everyone's so desensitized to it.
we're literally the only country in the world that has this many, like, mass shootings and school shootings. So this was a very strong topic to deal with, and apparently, LoySauce, all the major studios really liked the script. With Verbinski attached, they were all interested in it, but they wanted them to remove the comedy connecting to the school shootings, and they decided not to. And they have balls. Gotta give them props for that, because I thought it was one of the best sequences in the movie, and also the most deeply emotional. Again, this woman deals with her son being killed, and when she goes to the school to talk to the staff, she's there with a bunch of other moms, like random, society moms. They're like, "Oh, it's your first time?" And then we learn that they've had their same kid killed in a school shooting a number of times, and they just bring them back from the dead, like you mentioned, by cloning. And part of these clones is they have ads. They have ads like once a day they'll spit out.
They do ad reads. Yeah, which is a nice, there was like a nice setup and payoff there where earlier on you see an ad for Appleberry Peach Tea.
Yes.
And then later on the son in this like cold, robotic, unnatural voice is just, "I'm craving an Appleberry Peach Tea. Comes in, it's only 70 calories.
And she
Comes
hesitantly
in 5
like
different
stops
flavors."
to get it for him, and then she learns immediately this is not really my son. And there's a lot of commentary and comedy that connects to that when she's going to these support groups with other parents that have had their kids cloned after being killed. And then, of course, we get to the party, the one couple that literally says, "We've had our kid get killed so many times. It's like our fifth clone, that we decided to make them super awkward, over gangly and tall." And then, of course, they
kind
said
of racist.
Kind of racist. And they're like, "Oh, they're so funny. They come home and say the funniest things. We had them speak a second language just so that we don't understand them, but we just like to laugh at them."
Well, they say, like, why not? They're just going to end up shooting each other anyway.
Yes.
So there is like a very dark, there's like, it's like a balance between like this very dark humor and like this pathos, this genuine, like emotional, just complete despondency that Juno Temple's character is feeling. And then we feel it as the audience. So it's a tonal balancing act for sure, but I think it pulls it off.
Absolutely. I mean, and then from here, we do get more side stories and stuff, but we get on this adventure where we're supposed to be going to, this group is supposed to, for some reason, he needs all of these people with him, which I didn't totally understand. Was it just to like have them picked off one by one so he could make it there, or just to help him get there? I mean, he has to go to this boy's house.
It's kind of hinted at that he kind of uses them as like collateral so that he can kind of have them charge ahead so he can figure out the best route to get to, his destination.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the best, it's not explained the best throughout the film, the kind of various kind of whys or odds and ends of connecting point A to point B. But we get the sense that he knows, so we're kind of just along for the ride. He being Sam Rockwell's character.
Sure.
Again, a lot of things happen throughout the film that you're just going to have to accept. Ingrid, played by Haley Lou Richardson, her character is just allergic to technology, and you're just like, oh, okay, like that would. She wouldn't be able to go outside,
No, she wouldn't. She starts like getting a nosebleed if people have phones out. But I also thought it was kind of funny, because there are people that will literally say, "I'm allergic to social media. I'm allergic to technology." There are people that live on this planet right now that won't have anything to do with it. Like, they'll still have a TV and maybe cable TV, but they won't have streaming, the internet, or any of that shit. They're just like trying to live it like it was still the 80s and 90s, which I can somewhat relate to. But, her story when she meets her boyfriend, and then of course he is, kind of in unison with her on those beliefs. And this company sends him virtual reality, and within one day he's ready to change his mind on marrying her. And then of course he just wants to live permanently in this video game, which that's not far-fetched either. You see how, like, I don't want to mention the incel society necessarily, but there is this detachment from actual human connection and interaction that so many people just dive so deep into fantasy, video games,
World of
movies.
Warcraft. Yeah,
I'm guilty of the movie part. I absolutely do love just diving so deep into film and escaping in that way. That's why we call it an escape. Music. But this shit's dangerous. Like, you want to live in a fucking video game, but the whole idea is that it's a safer world. It's a better world than our real world. The fake world will be better. And this 9-year-old boy is apparently about to create the AI to take over the world. But Sam Rockwell doesn't want to actually destroy it or stop it. He just wants to insert like a security protocol that will, I guess, assist the AI or secure it in some way to change it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's not so much a destruction as like he's trying to avoid, um, or he's trying to prevent the AI from taking over. Again, it's not very well explained in the plot.
Well, because we see his backstory, and he said that he was raised in a bunker. We see it. He's in the future. This AI that takes over, it's basically taken out the majority of the human population. World resources run out, and mass deaths occur. And he just wants to change what that future is going to look like.
Yeah, and all of that backstory makes you understand him as a character, and his relationship to the other characters as well. Especially, the big reveal, which when they chose not to show a certain character, they showed her from the back. I thought, okay, well, it has to be. It can. There are only so many characters that we already know that could be.
Right.
When you choose to show a character from the back, you know that later on there's going to be a reveal who that character is.
I was waiting, but I honestly had a really good feeling that it was Ingrid all along. So,
well, you get the sense that he's very reticent to take her along to start, but then he kind of has this moment of realization when the bottle falls and points to her, and he's like, all right, I'm in a weird mood tonight, so you come along with me. And
yeah, we'll give it a shot. But he knows all along that it's his mom.
Yeah, I mean, again, very Terminator. You can't do a time travel movie without some kind of causality loop or
Absolutely. Yeah,
it's all sci-fi tropey stuff. It's fun.
But there's some brutality to be had as well here. We see some deaths, like these random, masked crime dude, like bad guys are like chasing after them this whole time, and then in this parking garage they're getting chased, and one dude gets like impaled in half, and it was a pretty cool sequence there. Really enjoyed that. And of course we get to the third act here, and there is that scene where they go to this house, and
this was the most confusing part for me.
Okay, please elaborate, because we see like a giant cat kaiju made out of like a million cats.
Yeah,
like eating people and shit.
It kind of felt like they were trying to do a choose the form of the destructor scene from Ghostbusters. Where they get to this house, and Sam Rockwell says, this is like as far as I've gotten. I've never gotten to the house because it's like a swarm of like different, like, they could be ninjas, they could be gang members. It's just going to be like
they'll be attacked, but it's never the same thing each time.
Right. And so the members of the group, they all start to kind of like, oh, so it could be like a centaur, or it could be, like kittens. They just start naming things that they're just kind of messing around and joking. So then at that point, the horde of teenagers from the high school, who are all glued to their phones, arrive. And then you see a gigantic hoof come down from the sky, and this enormous kaiju with like a gigantic cat's head. It almost looks like it's on a giraffe's neck.
It was creepy as shit. It's all CG, but I thought it was creepy as shit.
I think the idea is that it is the AI program, kind of taking all of their like different ideas and generating it. It looked like an AI generated image, though, of course, it wasn't that we know of. But it was just kind of confusing as to like, okay, are they in an AI program now, or how is the AI generating this creature? It didn't really seem to make a whole lot of sense. Again,
Well,
the
this,
idea is very
yeah,
scattershot. Ideas are very scattershot. I appreciated they went for it because it is like
it's a great scene, dude. Like the cat's like eating people in
it's a
half and shit.
completely befuddling image, and then you see Sam Rockwell's reaction to it, which is priceless. But yeah, you see the giant swinging ball sack, and it's crazy. I'm just not exactly sure within the logic of the story how like what it's doing there other than to create a wild image that the audience will certainly never forget. But what I appreciated about that, and the one interview that I did manage to see with Gore Verbinski was talking about when the hoof comes down, it crushes a car.
Mm-hmm.
They actually crush the car for real. That's not a CG car getting crushed. Normally, I feel like normally it would just be easier to just CGI the car and everything. And then there's one point when they finally get to the house, they encounter the quote parents of this 9-year-old boy, and it turns out they're not his parents at all, but people hired to protect him. And there's a shot the comedic timing was perfect, where the father, Sam Rockwell shoots the father with a shotgun, and the father goes flying back and slams into the refrigerator. And as the father's laying there, a little smiley face magnet comes down,
Yeah.
and ice from the ice dispenser shoots out. It was like a Looney Tunes cartoon. But I also learned that like the magnet coming down, that would have been very easy to CGI. That was practical too. They had a guy on the other side of the door of the fridge with a magnet on the side to kind of control the smiley face magnet. That was really cool. Then when they get to the I guess the lair where this 9-year-old kid is sitting. Yeah, he's sitting on top of this, like he's in this like sterile room with this massive LED screen. The LED screen was real. That wasn't CGI. He's sitting on like a massive like throne of like tangled wires and all these like old.
It's a cool image. It instantly like reminded me of The Matrix. It really did. With the bald
Matrix,
kid,
yeah.
and I was like, this just reminds me. The kid sitting there eating cheesy poofs. But I mean, it was a cool visual though, for sure.
But my point being, that's practical. That would have been very easy to just have him sit on a thing that they composited in later. Like, again, massive respect to Gore Verbinski using practical effects when he can, when it probably would have been much easier to just, render it all in later.
Yeah, I think that the climax or action set piece at the end is pretty well put together. We do have like what I thought were some pretty generic looking little robot things. I'm
not exactly sure what they were there for. They didn't really add much. They didn't do much either.
An evil Toy Story. I mean, I don't know. Like it is that image just to me like felt like a million other things I'd seen before. But the action in the scene and the build up and everything was pretty well done. And of course, they attempted.
I do think. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I do think, and this is one of my major criticisms with the movie, because I do think, although the film has kind of an incisive point of view that feels necessary for the times in which we currently live, this kind of dystopian nightmare that we find ourselves in. I do think that the movie could have pointed its criticism at the people who are benefiting from all of this. The greedy billionaires, the tech oligarchs, the corrupt politicians. I don't feel like the film directed enough anger at those subjects. There's like a throwaway line about like, oh, the corporations are behind all this, and I'm pretty sure you, and I could be wrong, I need to watch it again, but you see Sam Rockwell pick up an Amazon shipping box and throw it aside, and that's when he says something about like, oh, the corporations are behind this. But I think for a film that's purported to be like a middle fingers up kind of rebuke against AI, I don't think it's nearly mad enough at the people it should be mad at. You know what I mean? Like the entire like online information ecosystem right now is owned by like fascists, and they rob us of our time and our money and our dignity for capital gain. And I mean, technology is a problem, certainly, but I don't think it's the problem. I think it's the problem is the people in power who wield the technology as a cudgel against us. And I was kind of waiting for a reveal of like who's behind it all,
Did you
like
want
the
like
guy in the suit,
a
or
fake
I don't
villain?
know,
Okay, like a fake version
something.
of like Jeff Bezos or something. Really, I mean,
I mean, part of me understands like, well, maybe they didn't want to poke the bear too
yeah,
much.
that's where I was. That's where I lied with it. I thought it was just good. And if they're saying the corporations, they already know. I think that we know who they're kind of talking about. Like we're not stupid. There's a lot of citizens in this country that are stupid and ignore the things,
Well, that's
which
the
the
thing.
movie
I mean,
reflects. But
the movie. I mean, the movie deals with a lot of. I feel like the observations that the movie is trying to convey are not the most trenchant observations. But from the amount of people I still see sharing chat GPT generated memes and artwork of they just type into chat GPT, like, make an image of me based on what you know about me, almost like inviting chat GPT to like mine your data and your personal information to create a picture of you that's like, first of all, it's not even attractive quote artwork. It's just like has
dude,
this ugly
be
yellow
clear. It
tinge
looks
to it.
fucking shit. It looks like fucking shit. It looks stupid. It's not cool or funny or cute. It's dumb. It's really dumb and it's unethical
So
as shit. So
right. So
I hate
based on
it.
the amount of people I still see with doing that shit,
I mean,
it's apparent that
yeah.
people still need to wake up and they still need to be made aware of the consequences of it's depleting our planet's resources. All of the things you could kind of lob against AI, like people are just unaware. And I don't know if this movie is going to reach them necessarily, but
Probably not. But
there's the odd chance that someone could watch this movie and really have their eyes
I'd
opened
like
up
to
to what's
think
going
so.
on.
I mean, I'd like to think so. I said probably not, but I'd like to think that at least, I say a handful. I mean, out of the however many people went to go see the movie or that are going to watch it eventually on streaming. I mean, I'm part of this movement. There's not a specific name or like a organization or a group or anything, but when you're on social media, there's a large part of the pie that are anti AI, and I'm fully for that. Fuck AI, 100%. I'm going to say it a million times on this episode, and also, not to throw shade, but a lot of content creators, podcasters, YouTubers, people are using this stuff for their thumbnails and for their editing and all this other stuff, and it's making you look like a non-creative, like you don't care and have no integrity in regards to that stuff. But
AI can be helpful. AI can
sure,
be
it can.
used for things I just don't know why there's such focus on using AI as a shortcut or I guess as an alternative to actual art, because art is
dude,
a
yeah.
uniquely human thing. Get AI to do math for us or dig ditches or whatever.
Absolutely. That's my point of view. Yeah. Use it for something that's going to be beneficial to our society, not waste our resources for stupid fucking caricatures of you and your dog that no one gives a shit about. Literally, you're going to get fucking 10 likes on it on Facebook and then it's going to just go away. It's going to be forgotten. Anyway,
human beings are meant to create things, and
pay
I
an
feel
artist,
like
man. Pay your cousin that has been a lifelong artist that's been studying since middle school to be an artist that can draw. Pay him. Or do something. Have someone real do something real. But again, back to the movie itself, because I don't want to continue to preach. I do enough of it on the internet. But so the third act of the movie, obviously, LoySauce. It's not all what we think it's going to be. It's not necessarily the happy ending that we were hoping for. It seems as though AI has kind of had its way, and we're stuck back in the loop back again.
I was relieved because it seemed, I think the thesis of the movie would crumble if it had gone in the direction that it was going, which is Susan's son is kind of guiding them throughout the evening. The device that is
She claims,
replicating the son's voice.
Yeah.
She trusts the she trusts the AI because it has the voice of her son. So even she's not immune to being misled and kind of led astray by AI. And so I was really glad that it turned out to be sinister at the end, because it would have completely gone against the whole point of the movie if we actually had a good AI that was helping and trustworthy throughout the entire movie. I just don't think that would have quite added up. So I'm really
No.
glad that they didn't go that
Yeah, I
direction.
mean, you
Um,
start to think that it's going that way because the survivors that are left. I mean, obviously there's some casualties throughout this movie, but they're out there celebrating their success. The sun is shining, and then of course Ingrid comforts Sam Rockwell's character, and they realize at that point she is his mother. And they have this connection immediately. But then he realizes
they see
something
the
is
sunrise,
yeah,
which was
something
so
is not right, and
touching.
then that AI gave them a fake happy ending to keep them in place, and then again the movie ends with the man from the future, Sam Rockwell, beginning the night again in the diner as he sits with Ingrid and tells her right off the bat what went wrong, and she's unaware because he went back in time again, and um, I thought the ending was great. I thought it was just really impactful.
Impactful. It didn't feel uh, like it was cheating at all. Like it felt like it was consistent with what they had set up. Possibly leading into a sequel, although at this point it's
Uh,
likely we're not going to get it.
no,
But
probably not. I mean, but
um,
what would you do?
y-
You wouldn't want to do the same night over again, the same adventure over again, unless I
no,
guess you
but the whole
could, but
idea, the whole idea is like he says, like we need to find a way to
yeah.
make all of humanity have the same allergy that you do to technology, which is thematic enough. Again, probably kind of a hint to the audience. Um, so I thought it was solid, even though it kind of got lost in the weeds a little bit. I think it just kind of buckles a little bit under the weight of all the ideas that it wants to convey. The movie really could have focused on any one of these ideas and made a whole film in and of itself. I mean, this whole idea of being desensitized to school shootings, cloning your
I mean, the
children.
movie's short too. It's only 134 minutes, so it could have been longer. But I think it was a good
I mean,
brisk.
134 minutes is arguably. I mean, that's over 2 hours,
It
and
is, but
I
it could
feel
have it
like
could have
with
been longer though.
Gore Verbinski's work. I mean, the Pirates movies are all very long. A Cure for Wellness has no reason to be 2.5 hours
Yeah,
long.
that's
But
right.
I mean, again, I appreciate that Gore Verbinski is the kind of filmmaker who is confident in his vision. And if a studio comes and tells him, Gore, you should probably cut the humor out of the scene, or you should probably trim this down a little, his response is, fuck you, I'll make the movie the way that I want to. And he's earned it. He's a consummate, artist, even though, I mean, I have minor quibbles with the screenplay of this film, and it arguably it's kind of cribbing from a lot of different sci-fi influences. I do think the script is very creative. Matthew Robinson, who has a story credit on the greatest film of all time, which is Monster Trucks.
Dude, that's amazing. And I had no idea looking into this that he was originally part of some satire hip hop group as a rapper.
Okay.
Yeah, so like he this is not his first entryway into satire in any way whatsoever. He knows his shit, and I think
He has a point of view.
yeah, for sure. He was supposed to do a lot of different things that never ended up happening. He was going to do a Star Wars before it got canceled. He was going to do like the Rogue Squadron movie and all kinds
Yeah.
of things. Um,
Little Shop of Horrors remake that so
yeah,
far hasn't gotten off the
yeah.
ground.
I mean,
So I hope he does more stuff, because Love and Monsters, which he wrote, I think that's a solid flick, and you know, uh, based on the strength of this, you know, I
yeah.
hope
So
I hope for good things for him, and give Gore Verbinski all the money to make
well,
more of this
let him do
stuff.
something more. But let's do our final thoughts, LoySauce, and trash it or treasure it, and you first, of course, because you're my guest this evening.
Oh, well, I'm gonna treasure this movie for sure. I do wish it were a little bit more, offered a little bit more of a kind of I do wish it were a little bit more incisive beyond just saying like, oh, humanity's cooked, we're all screwed. It's like, well, yeah, we are. But I do think it offers enough kind of irreverent, kind of absurdist humor. Um, I appreciated how bonkers it got. And yeah, so I think it's really solid. What about you?
Oh, absolutely. It is a treasure for me. Anything that goes this wild and is that unapologetic with some themes that I feel strongly about. Usually with a movie like this, it's never topical enough, or it's not dealing with things that I have a passion for. And much like I ranted on about earlier about AI, this movie's dealing with a topic that I'm kind of struggling with right now myself, as someone that, you know, grew up a graphic designer, played music from the time I was 14 till I was 30, and love movies, and have been involved with everything to do with movies and film criticism for so many years now. I think there's an integrity to be had when it comes to being in the creative community in any way, shape, or form that a lot of people are just starting to lose or forget about, or actually just not care about. The movie is irreverent, and of course, it is inventive, and some of the stuff that we see in it, no one else would have the balls to do. The whole school shooting thing, just the fact that they went there and they did it in a way that had something to say, but was also darkly funny. I got to give them
And
kudos
emotional.
for that. It's
Yeah.
very emotional too. That I felt that so deeply, and you know, if you have kids or you have had kids in high school, you kind of, there's always that worry every day they go to school, you know. So it's the way our society is today. It's very sad. But the movie, it was a cool hybrid of all different genres, and of course, at the core, Sam Rockwell having a fucking blast, just absolutely unhinged but funny as fuck performance. He's just so good. I always look forward to everything he's in, no matter what, dude. Even if the movie itself doesn't look good, if I'm watching it and I know he's in it, it's going to be automatically better because the man is just a master as a performer. So, yeah, that's a treasure it for me.
I think the big three, like the big three performances, Sam Rockwell, Haley Lee Richardson, and Juno Temple, they're
Sure.
definitely the MVPs of it.
Absolutely. And I have to shout out real quick the score by Jeff Zanelli. You guys know I always throw out the score like last before we always finish, but this score legitimately super funky bass lines, like a lot of, you know, rock and jazz guitar in the stuff, and then of course there's some synth in there. It's definitely way different than anything else we hear in movies these days. So very, very creative and really good to listen to. I was jamming out to it before we did this review to kind of get in the zone, and I love this shit. It's just great music to listen to on its own by itself. But that's it for our bonus episode review of Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. If it's your first time listening to the podcast, thank you for checking us out. If it's your long-term listener, we deeply appreciate you sticking with us here. We're available on every single podcast platform known to man, and of course at Epic Film Guys, all over social media. And the social media that we're on, we do that shit for you. I do enjoy it. That's the one thing. I can't be that big of a hypocrite. I still continue on. I run a big Batman page. I'm on there all the time because I still have hope that we can possibly return it, or at least have some kind of sense of what we used to have, connecting with one another, especially with our love of different things, whether you love sports, movies, music, all of the above. Just coming together over the things that we have passions for, and that's what I strive to do when I'm on there all the time. And of course, tell people that like Aya to go fuck themselves, which I'll continue to do. So until next time, I'm Justin.
I'm LoySauce.
And as always, we like to ask you to keep that shit creepy.